Hello. Hello, hello. My BGM is not working. There we go. Mildly scuff already. Uh, there we go. Hello, 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 hello. Bit of a different stream. Gonna be making a Discord bot because I need one. And I thought I might as well take people through the progress. Or, well, start from scratch. Maybe. So, let me just go with desktop. I hope that works in readability. I honestly didn't test. So some feedback would be nice. Code. It is code. I think I can... I don't know if I can zoom the text any bigger. Is that better? What were you saying? I was saying we are going to make a Discord bot. Although, again, it's gonna be kinda weird if it's not legible. Which I can't tell in my tiny preview window. I could have just checked myself. Hold on, let me just check for myself how it looks on an actual stream window. Mute myself. Oh no, that's doable. Oh my god, no, it's gonna loop. It's gonna loop-de-loop. I can see it, yes. So, because... Hold on, then this is more workable. Still not too good, rather than... Okay, if this works, then I actually have a normal screen. But like, in my preview, I don't see anything like this. Scuff, 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 scuff. There's already a lot of code on screen. That is because I am already starting off with a template slash library thing which is openly provided. And I suggest people do use it. If you go on discord.js.guide, which we're working on JavaScript, we're gonna be making a Node.js app, which is just something I'm most comfortable with, although I'm still really bad at producing good code or any good applications. So do not judge me. I'm just giving insight into something people don't usually talk about because it's very boring. And also most people don't most people don't show the backgrounds of what they're doing. So I tried to like make nerd videos because I hope this format does any good. I'm already starting to doubt it. I'm just being a nerd, honestly. So, am I on the right? Yes. So, if you're making an application for Discord, what you will need in any case is to submit an application. For that, you will be going on Discord developer portal. So you don't actually need to know any of this. In all honesty, if you go on the Discord.js guide, it'll tell you blah blah blah, I'm gonna make you a bot. So you start by installing Node.js on Windows. Which means you go to the Node.js website, which I've got here. You download the version like this, and you click that thing. And a minute later you will have Node installed. What that allows you to do is if you have any command prompt you can just, hold on. I'll open the PowerShell window here. If you just type npm, that's Node Package Manager, you'll get a bunch of whateverness. So you go npm help if you were to want to navigate it. A thing we will want to do... I have given up on understanding this. Okay, listen. If you need another walkthrough, the guide has a lot more words than I'm using here. But basically, what we need... Just go make it say hello world SMH. We're gonna get to that point. We're starting from scratch. And then I'm gonna show you how starting from scratch is useless and you just use a framework. I don't even know if it's called a framework. I'm this bad at coding. So if anyone who actually knows to code is cringing, then I expected that. This is just to be like really simple. So you you basically install Node.js, which is the more backbone type software that we're gonna be using. So what Node does is it handles like the running your code essentially. It runs it as like an actual executable on your computer, and you're just making the thing that tells it to say hello world, and it figures out the rest on how to send things to Discord and stuff. And for that, we just download from the Node website, as I said earlier. And then you go to the next chapter, which is setting up a project folder, which I've already done over here. It's just an empty folder. I literally called it new. It's empty. And you're gonna want to open a command prompt in said folder, which I've done here already. So we have an empty an empty PowerShell window, which is the same as Windows command prompt. It's just blue, and blue is cool. We're gonna be using the blue image, and you have a folder in the same path as the PowerShell. And what you're gonna do, as it says here, once you have the command prompt open, run node version, which tells you the version that you've currently installed of Node. And npm is the Node Package Manager. Node is more akin to the actual software, and Package Manager we use to install, for example, the Discord interfacing stuff later. You're making a super advanced AI that has human intelligence. Basically, if... yes. Except for it's not gonna have the intelligence itself. We're using distributed computing intelligence by distributing the computing of the intelligence to the user. So you're the one who has a human brain, and then just tells it to execute things after you've computed what they're supposed to do. You know? And the interface for that will be Discord chat. Are you following with me? You following? They're super smart. So you are telling me that I can't have a conversation with it. You can, but it will always only give you the same answer. And I hope that's sufficient to you. I don't know about you, but that's about as much as I expect from a conversation, is people saying the exact same sentence every time I say anything. So you're telling me you can definitely have more friends? Throw cheese at someone and call it a day. Does throwing cheese always elicit the same answer? I don't know. Have you ever thrown cheese at people? Can I romance the bot? We can work on making a very, very, very simple romance thing, maybe. But don't pin me down on that, because I have no idea what romancing a bot in like easy hello world type messages would be. So anyway, we go npm init, which is node package manager initialize. And if you have no idea how commands work, then npm is the software we are trying to interface with, which is like the program we're telling things. This is why this is yellow. And init is an argument we're giving it to run, basically a subcommand of this thing. And we do this, and it says package name for folder. We're gonna call it tree.bot. Can no longer contain capital letters. Okay, we're gonna go with very simple treebot then. We are going with version 4.2.0. We're going with description. Can't love you back. Entry point index JS. If you just hit enter when there's like a thing in brackets, if this thing in round parentheses, then you can just hit enter and it will use the default test command. We will call ping. Why not? Git repository we do not have. Keywords we don't care about. Author is my name. I cannot type already. And license also I'm not going to bother with right now. You said we can romance the bot. I said you can romance it. That doesn't mean it can love you back. A dating sim does not love you. Is this okay? Yes. Yes. And we've created a file. So you see all of this clicky throughy thingy has guided us into creating a single file that thanks for updates. I'm just gonna make sure I don't see anything confusing in my notepad. There we go. We only have one thing and I can make it big. So everything we put into PowerShell here, which is this, it put into a JSON file. That's everything we did so far with the node package. And then we can follow the thingy further. It says this creates a package.json. We have we saw that JSON. We can dream. Why would they love me? They would love you if they could, but they are very they're very self-conscious about love itself, so they just refuse not to believe in it. Yes, it does. You can't stop me and my waifus. Okay, Joseph. The dating sim loves you back. You specifically. And next thing we will need is installing Discord.js. So Discord.js is a package in Node that we can install that does most of the, well, all of the Discord interfacing stuff. So something again we will not have to worry about. So we go and actually you could be copying this because programmers love to copy paste. So you go Control C and you paste this. I'm too bad at copy pasting. I'm gonna type it. Discord.js, and we hit enter and see that plus Discord.js. And if we go back to a folder, we see a package lock, which has the same thing in it as the header for part of it. And for others, it has all of the thingies that Discord.js required. here. So it has like /collection, form data, things it just requires. There's Discord.js itself, and just a few other dependencies for like whatever it requires. Nasty Treeman. I'm not nasty. I'm super nice. No, it's because coders like you won't let them love me back. Oh, you wanna keep all the loving AIs to yourself. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm not doing that on purpose. It's just the way of the coder. You see, we don't know what love is, so we can't program it into a machine. That's the big problem. You should love coders more. So if you were to love a coder, the coder would know how to formalize love into a machine. And also, if we go into node modules, which is like a folder it just created, we see all of these packages. Like, you see here it says Discord.js, and if we go into here it says Discord.js, and then that has a lot of code in it that who knows what it does. It has something. Here's an index.js. If we look into that, that's a lot of code. Don't really matter. You just know you installed a package, and that's why we use Node. Just install Node packages and just tell them to do things. And to telling them do things we will get to soon. And a linter, which I've used here, basically. Visual Studio Code you can download for free as well. I just downloaded it and some random JavaScript package, and what this lets me do is, for example, if I were to type a hello there, that works, hold on. If I go like this, and it will tell me that like this doesn't make sense. If I for some reason were to forget a dot here, let's put out the parentheses. I see that that's a different color, for example. If I were to forget a comma in an array, it'll highlight it, and all of those kinds of things. So basically it's kind of smart, and you use the kind of smart to get rid of a few stupid mistakes which otherwise programmers run into, like making extra commas and stuff. To take over the song with emo songs. We also send Baum love, but he doesn't love us back. This is what I tell you. The programmer people don't know what love is, so they cannot interface with love. There is no I/O path for love. You may start to send things to the love port, but there is no way to answer. It does not have a love service. You need to teach that first, and that only comes with lots of affection. Why are we going down this rabbit hole even further? Okay. So if we go to setting up a linter, a code editor, Visual Studio Code, pipapo, we've already got this basically with setting up VS Code. So setting up a bot application, which is something I almost went to way earlier. Home love us. I do love all of you people, even though I do it very badly. I am happy to have everyone here, and I love everyone who is currently here, despite all of the scuff I'm gonna be going through. There you go. That is my ooh woo, I love you, ooh woo moment. I won't leave. You just let me love you. Never gonna leave you down. Joseph, that was the first part of my debut. You can't just steal my idea. I've taken the concept of rickrolling to my own now, and I hope that is fine by you. So, going on further, we see developer portal. What you basically do is you click new application and create an application, and then it'll just have no name. And then you click onto it to edit it. And here we see one that I've just prepared earlier. I think that was a while ago actually, but yeah. So you have an application that you can give a name and some description. In this case it really doesn't matter because it's just like for showing purposes. There's a lot more things you can like do, because Discord applications can be used for a lot of things. You could, for example, set up a Discord application to do one of those funky rich embeds that people use, where you can like click on it to listen to on Spotify or something. So that kind of integration you could maybe look at. Usually it's just like click the spectate button on OSU, for example. Build a bot. That's what the thingy tells us. This thingy, sorry, wrong tab. So it tells us to make a build a bot thingy. This section is critical. Pay close attention. It explains what your bot tokens is, as well as the security aspects. So we make a bot. We can only make a bot that will be non-reversible for, I don't know if there's technical reasons. They just like that bots are cool, so we keep bots forever. This is just a bot application. So it takes the image that you put for the application and the name that you put for the application. It just copies that over. You can change this here. This is what actually determines what your bot will be using. So in case you had wanted to name it differently from your application, you can do this here. So you could, for example, call this Lorax bot. I don't even know why I landed on Lorax, but whatever. So what this does is this is your bot token. The same as this will tell you is a token is essentially your bot's password. It's what your bot uses to log into Discord. With that said, it is vital you do not ever share this token with anybody, purposely or accidentally. If someone does manage to get a hold of your token, they can use your bot as if it were theirs. So essentially, it's a long string of some things that the bot will send over securely to use it to log in. So what I can do is I click here and you see my bot's token. So you could, for example, now set up a bot application and put this as the bot's token, and you would be using this bot then as though it was yours. I'm just gonna quickly get rid of that and regenerate. And regenerate. There you go, that's a new token now. And in case your bot was already on multiple servers, maybe it's a big server or a big bot already. Like, think of any of the bots you actually use, like a Me6 or a Dino or whatever. That will have its own bot token for logging in. And that bot token is the same no matter what server it runs on. So should anyone at some point get a hold of the Dino bot token, whoops, that kind of a sad moment, but you know. So should anyone, for example, get hold of the Dino bot token, they could just use the fact that Dino is a bot in a lot of servers that has administrative privileges. So they could just log into a bot, into the bot with their token, with an application that does nothing other than ban everyone. And they would be able to ban literally everyone and every server that has Dino on it. And, you know, that will be bad. So you don't usually want to have anyone see your token. In this case, it is impossible for anyone to use this token other than me, myself, because I uncheck the public bot option. And I can click reveal token and you see a token, and I just regenerate new tokens as we go. You see how parts of these change. And once I change site, you don't see it anymore, and I just regenerate it a couple more times. There you go. That's basically how that goes. There's a bit more thingies that, for example, if you were wanting to track if people are online or not, or if you were tracking how many servers there are, or who is in what server, then you need like special application stuff here. And that's as much as we need for now. Basically we have a bot token. This is what this is for. We generate a bot token with this. So you set up an application, then you set up a bot, and then you, by setting up a bot, have a bot token, which you definitely will never be sharing with anyone. Hey Vivi! Welcome to stream. How are you doing? Hold on. Because I have a shout out now. You're getting one. There you go. I know you like those very much, so enjoy your shout out. Everyone go check out Vivi. So, there we go. Token leak scenario. Let's imagine you have a big bot. It can spam everyone, it can ban or whatever. So it tells you in a very long thing that you don't ever get rid of your token. Don't shout out me. Well, you've been shouted at. I need a shout at command. That goes on the Docker of things I need to do. Yes, anyone can do it. Have fun. I should make a command only to shout out Vivi. Yes, have fun with that. So what this tells you now is a best practice that it advises you to use environment variables. So basically it's you put in another thing when you start the bot. So you will only have your token copy pasted into this. Like, hold on, if I were to clear. That's not what clear is. There we go, clear. So for example, you would node index.js to start your node application, which we'll get to later. But environment variable would mean you would go like token equals this. And then you pass this at the start thingy. And then you start it with the token variable in it as an environment thing. The way that you can also do it, which I prefer, is going into your folder and creating, well, we'll go like this. We create a file, which is also going to be a JSON file, which is a file type for storing data like this in like brackets. And each bracket is like a lower part, so you can see the scripts thingy has brackets, which means all of this is part of scripts. This has brackets, so all of the data is part of these brackets. And we're basically gonna make one that's open bracket token. We copy from here because I don't have to remember this either. So it's whatever you call the data, then a colon, and then whatever you want to put, and we're gonna put like your token here. Make a close. You could put more things in here, like hello text, and you say hello there, Kenobi, and closing bracket, and we go ahead and save this in this folder that we're in as all file types, and we save it as a config.json, for example. So you would have a JSON file that has your token and other config. You could technically just make a JSON file with only your token or only credentials in case you had wanted to make something more elaborate. Because other applications will of course also have tokens, like a Twitter API would maybe have tokens. What I also can do is just add a tab. This all seems very technical. Yes, that is exactly why I'm doing this. Nobody explains these. Well, a lot of people explain coding. There's good resources on it. But I just felt like I wanted to be another person doing it in a public manner, even if I'm very bad at it. I'm not a good programmer. I don't make good applications. But I'm going to take people on stream along. And if you need a recap or don't understand anything, always feel free to ask. Because the manner of a stream is people will be joining afterwards. And it tells you something more about a .gitignore file. In this, I'm a worse program. You're not a program, Vivi. You're real. I almost said demon. I stopped myself. There you go, I love you. You're a good Viviano violin. You're a good violin. So, Git is a tool for uploading your things to somewhere else, basically. It keeps track of versions and changes, which is complicated. I don't deal with Git because I'm a bad programmer. If anyone here has ever done anything with programming, they should be using Git and GitHub or some other Git source. Like it says GitLab or Bitbucket here. I have never done that. Personally. You should. You should look into it if you want to. It's a very good idea. I just generally don't care because I back up my files with a file thingy because I'm an IT nerd and I don't code a lot. So, adding your bot to servers is the next chapter here. So it says a bot has an invite link with a certain structure, which is Discord standard structure for an Auth2 application. So we see this is an application, and it says Auth2 here. And that's about as much as you need to know about it. Auth for authenticate. It's just a way of ensuring people are doing people things and not bad computers doing things for real people. A way of making sure you're not doing bad things in someone else's name. And it will tell you that the second part says client ID equals something to specify which application you want to authorize. You replace this part with your client's ID to create a valid invite link. The last part says scope bot, which specifies you want to add this application as a Discord bot. You could, for example, I think be using webhooks instead for the scope. I don't actually know. A permissions parameter also exists to restrict or guarantee permission you want your bot to have. We can look at this, which is like a calculator thingy. And it adds like another and permissions here. So if you go into this thingy, we just go, hey, do you want to be administrator? Yes, we give it administrator. And the way this works is actually really funny if you know how computer science works. But basically, every single one of these little ticks will be a different number. And the way they are added up together will always be unique. So if you look at what this is equaling, then you see that they're like kind of spaced apart. And it's a very technical thing, unless you know computer science well. But basically, just through putting in a number, this number exactly means all of these boxes are ticked. It's just a very cool way programmers use things. Colored bot owner must have two-factor authentication enabled if server requires 2FA. Well, makes sense. If you want your bot to have admin and the server has all admins require 2-factor, then the person who made the bot also needs 2-factor just in case, you know? Making sure. So what this also lets you do is client ID, which if you go back to your bot, we have an OAuth 2 and a client ID here. We copy this. And also again, client secret. If it says click to reveal, just never click it. Just don't ever click this button. You don't know what it could be used for. In this case, it might be able to be also used to use your bot. And we don't want that. So you don't ever click click to reveal. You also don't click click to reveal here. It says click. Don't click. Don't click. It's bad. And we go back to here. Paste our client ID. And as we see here, we created a link. We can copy this link. We can open this link. And we see, well, hello there, do you want to add this bot? I'm signed in as me, but it wants me to click. Do not click it. You will be doxxed. Well, your bot will be doxxed. And we select the server, for which I have made a server here. You can check that out later. Or actually, let me make sure there's nothing on my Discord. Yes, we can do this. So, we authorize the bot, just like you would add a normal bot to your Discord server. In case you are making a public Discord server, then this link that we just created, this here, obviously you would make something more sensible than giving it administrator, although you technically can. You can just use administrator if you think that's reasonable. Like a lot of the moderator bots will just use administrator privileges because they're strange and do a lot of things. But yeah, you have this long ID. This is actually something you can share if you're making a public bot. So you would either just hotlink to it on your website or give it to people who want to add your bot. And they'll be able to add it. And we just did that. So if we go to, hold on, we'll do like this. Yes. So we see how we added the Discord bot. There we go. We have the profile picture we set. And the only mutual server is this one that I set up. And it's a real bot. And it's here. And it exists. It's just offline. If we look into roles, we see how it made the bot's thingy as managed by an integration. All bots do this, and as we can see here, this has administrator, just like we ticked. It doesn't have any of the other permissions. It just has administrator, because permissions 8 equals administrator. So there you go. We have our bot in the server now. Isn't that progress? Invite your friends. See, the bot is a friend. The bot is a friend for us. We've invited our friend to the bot. wait, we've invited our bot as a friend. Hold on. Yeah, that's that. I'll go yeet. Fair enough. Drag it over again. Drag it away again. And yeah, the bot is offline because nothing is logged into it. If you're not logged into your Discord account, then you're offline. Currently, nobody is logged into the bot's Discord account, which is what the token here is used for. So, permissions we have gone. We've created the invite ID. We've invited the bot. And as you can see, I'm just reading off the website. Like, anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. We see how the bot is offline. Getting your bot up and running. So, logging into Discord. Here we see we create a new file. So we're gonna want this here again. You overestimate my competence. No, seriously, anyone can make a Discord bot. You're not gonna be able to maybe code a good Discord bot. That's the thing. You will need, well, proficiency in JavaScript to some degree. They even preface this in the guide, saying that if you don't know JavaScript, you might run into coding errors that would be very easy if you knew JavaScript. But there's many ways to learn JavaScript, because it's used for like web application stuff. And personally, I never learned JavaScript like that. I just made bots until I learned how to code JavaScript. But it's just a long way of running through a lot of errors, which is normal. Coding is basically running into mistakes. That's all you're going to be doing. You're going to run a lot of errors, you're going to Google what they are, and you're going to run into the next error and Google what that is until you at some point have something you're comfortable with putting forward. So, what this says is we need something actually runnable. So we create a new file, which will be a JavaScript file for once, and not a JSON file, right? We have currently a config.json in the folder. Whoops, that's misclick. There we go. Config.json, a package.json, all of these are data. They're just information. Nothing's using that information. What if Google is a bitch? Won't give you a direct answer. Then you need to get better at searching. So the way you deal with that is usually what you're searching for is probably some error message. But it could be that that error message can have a lot of reasons. Like if you're making a website and you get the error 404, that's a very prominent HTML error, then that can be a lot of things. You could have deleted the file. You could have messed up the server config. You could have it so the server can access that file. You could just have a file that can't be displayed. You could have mistyped the link. You could have mistyped something in your code. You don't know. There's a lot of sources for the same error. So you're gonna have to have some understanding of what's going on to be able to dig further. But that just comes with experience. Like, you don't know what can cause a 404. But if you Google it, then you can see all the different things that people have done wrong. And you could then deduce what things you've done wrong and which of those don't apply. And for the next time, you know. Like, next time you'll already know what the things are that cause a 404, and you'll be able to find that more quickly. And back to the Discord bot. Very intriguing. Yes. So, what we do here is we take this, we copy this, we paste this, And we save this into here as all types, and we save it as an index.json. We just call it an index for whatever reason. People use index for HTML sites a lot because that's the default thingy that web servers go to. And because JavaScript people do websites a lot, they just use index for the main file. You don't have to, you can call it anything. I just kind of went with what the tutorial told me to do. Client login, your token goes here. What you can also do, rather than using the token, which I think it tells you lower, no? Okay, well, back to here. What I did here is, we compare to this, it says constant, so this is like a data type that, well, I don't know if I can explain all of coding as well, but this is a data type defining what the word after, so this is the variable name, which is like the container of where things are stored, and this is the data type of that container. And in this container, which we call Discord, we do a thing that Node does, which is we load the package that's called discord.js. And then we have Discord as a constant thingy, so we can use it here. And part of Discord is create a client, which we call here the client. And we create a new client, and for that client we have a waiting thingy. That's as soon as you start the thing, it says ready in the console. And after that it will go and log into your token. You could be putting your token here, but the way I've done it here, because we already have your config file, is we create a constant. Again, we go here, constant, CFG for config because it's shorter, programmers are lazy. Again, we go require to load the file, and in this case we go /config.json and a semicolon at the end. So this will load this, basically everything in these brackets will be loaded into CFG. So we can go and put, instead of the token, cfg.token, because we called this part token, and the token part of the CFG, which is this file, we'll be putting there. Watch out not to keep the apostrophes, because that's a single quote mark and makes it just text. So it will be using literally the letters CFG dot and token to log in, which isn't gonna work. But if we do it like this, then it gets put as normal text, which means we're gonna be copying whatever is in here and putting that there. This just means that we can show our code without people knowing what the token is specifically. We can also use this method for, say, the hello text that we put earlier. So rather than saying ready, we go config.helloText, because hello text is exactly what we put here. You could even copy this and paste it into here and then save the file. And because I'm a very secrecy man, I'm going to be copying our bot token in there for real, which is you copy the token and you put it into here, which you can't see because it's secret. So now if I change the tab over there, you would be able to actually use the token in this fashion. So basically, if I were to accidentally give you my token, you would use this exact code and put my token in here. And then there is absolutely no way for anyone to know it is you and your code running on my bot and not mine. So that's why we don't give people our tokens. And now we have something that can actually be run practically. We have code that logs in, which is why it says login. And that's the wrong tab. Okay. So explained. Require the Discord JS module. That's the Discord thingy we're gonna be using. Create a new Discord client. When the client is ready, there we go. This will only trigger one time after logging in. And logging in is like this. And we can basically just do what I typed earlier, which is node and run the index.js. And we do that, and we see, hello there, Kenobi. We got our first hello word, people. This is what we put into hello text. You see here? Yes, the token is cut off, don't worry. Again, doesn't really matter, I'll be changing the token a lot anyway. But if you're developing an application, definitely make sure nobody sees the entire token. Or part of it even, for that matter. It's just better if nobody sees anything. Because, you know, it's kind of bad to have people act in your name. And we put the hello text here, and it copied it into here to be used as soon as we got our bot running. And now it's running, like for real. If we go into Discord, it's online now. It has a green thingy. It's running, it's logged in. And if we were to Control-C close this, the bot will be going offline shortly in like 30 seconds or so. And we go into the next part, which is listening for messages. Make sure to close the process, which we just did, closing this out so it doesn't keep running. Then we go back to our code editor and add the following piece of code. At this point, I'm gonna be moving over to using VS Code, which will mean I open this with code. And now I have a window of VS Code. Hello, this is the editor I used earlier in the other window over here, but that will be for later. We see this is just the folder structure we were using earlier. This is node modules, it's over there. Everything that's in there is there. It's just a nicer browser to use for all of the folders that we might use. And we can just like throw in files into here. We can put a config there, that kind of stuff. And now we keep coding, which is listening for messages. So client on message. We see client once means once the event happens. The event is called ready in this case. It does a little thingy that's basically run this function. So it says this is a function or a method if you were to be entirely really specific about it. But this is a function and it takes no inputs. That's why these parentheses are empty, in case you know about functions, and it passes that into this function. It's just a fancy writing thingy. You don't really need to know about it. You can just copy paste things like this and then they work. Like here we see message, which is like it passes message into it. In this case it doesn't pass anything through. In this case it passes message through, which is the Discord message that we receive. And we go onto the property. You see it. This is why we use the better editor. because in this case, you can already see it's the property of messaged, which is message.content, which will be a string, and a string is a data type of text that we can log to console. Which, this is more complicated than you will need to know, so sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not helpful. Var console is also not helpful, but sometimes these things help. So we save this, we go back to here, and we run it again, and it says hello there. And we go to Discord, and we keep these basically open next to each other, like this. And we go hello there, and it will do hello there because it received the message. Yay, this works. There we go, it takes all the messages and puts them into the console, because that's what we told it to do. Isn't that awesome? But like, I can do anything. I can ping it. It's not like it will respond. We see here that the ping is displayed as a funny thingy, which is built off its ID. You'll need to enable developer mode in Discord. I'm not going through my Discord settings now, but you'll need to have developer mode on to see IDs, which is something like this. If you look at it, it's the same thing as this. So if I were to put it like that, it immediately makes a ping out of it. And the thingy it did before is put an ad like that, but there you go. All of these convert to the same thing, which is mentioning this. You can just do it by ID. Helpful if you're making bots, actually. But for the most part, ID pings are just a fancy thing you can do in Discord if you want to be a nerd like me. And we go through the thingy again, replying to messages. We're interacting with it now. We see an example here, which is a ping pong, which, if we look at this, it's message, and we have message content here. We are putting message content into console here, but what we can also do is if message.content equals two equal signs to compare. That's just something you need to remember. Then two single quotes for text. You can also put double quotes, but that's just lame. I like single quotes more for the most part, but it really doesn't matter. You know what? I'm gonna be using double quotes just to put a difference to these ones. Doesn't matter. And we check if it is exclamation point ping. Just like we see in the example. If message content equals ping, the opening bracket means then do something. You also see the closing bracket is automatically filled afterwards. That's just also a nice thing that code editors do, that Notepad, for example, doesn't. So we see we're in these brackets. These brackets mean if it's true, so if message content really is ping, then we can do this, which is, if we look back, message.channel.send. So basically, we're given the message that we receive. So if we go back into code, this is like the message that we got. We see the message, this works. This message is actually an object of many variables. There's many things in this message. One of these things is content. Message has content, and the content is just the text. But message also has channel, which is the channel that this is in. So if we go to Discord, I'll just keep it like this. If we go to Discord, then this has a channel. This channel also has an ID, which we can also use. If I were to go and say general and look into the bot, then it actually didn't pick that up. Okay. That's one thing. There we go. I didn't click the bot. Okay. We do it again, just for show. PowerShell freezes when you click into the window, so that's that. So we type general, and we see that this time the string looks a little different. It's a pound sign for the channel, and we copy ID, and we do the thing with the closing bracket again. We put the pound sign, we put the opening sign, and there you see it. It's the channel ID. It's not his ID. If we use the bot's ID for this as a channel, and then it'll say delete a channel because it can't find it. And we just hit enter again to fix all of this. So you see it sees that it is a message with this in brackets, but it's displayed as delete a channel because it couldn't find it. If you see any like old messages that'll say delete a channel, then that's exactly why. The text of the message is still including this part, but it just can't find a channel to map that to. Anyway, we have the channel. And now we send in this channel something. What do we send in it? If we look at send, hello, there we go. Content and message options. There's a lot of things. There's 5 overloads. There's a lot of things it'll give you back. But basically, content just means like, what's up, dude? Duad. You know what, we stay with duad. So if you look at this, it says message channel send Pong, but Pong isn't cool. What's up, dude is much cooler. And we even put a line break in it. If you want a line break, then you're gonna need to put a \n. And we say poggers. I have to get going, but it's been fun. Well, thank you. I didn't think it would be fun to anyone, but have fun to wherever you're going. Thanks for having you here, Vivi. And now we close it again. We Control-C to cancel the application. Yes, it's cancel culture for bots too. And we save the thing we just changed. Go back into here and run it again. It says hello there again. Work. Yes, have fun working. You're always good with working. And the bot is running again. And now we can still type anything, and it will still do this part. It will do this part because it always does this part. It's part of these brackets, we're not excluding it at all. So any message that we send will be put into here now. If we move this a little bit over there, then everything we send is still... Okay, I can't move the thought, there we know. If I send anything, then it still sends it there. But if we exactly send !ping, it says, what up dude, poggers. Just as we put here. If it's exactly ping, it says, what's up dude, line break, poggers. We don't put spaces after the line break because that would mean... oops, I don't want to do these. Nope. That's because I opened this in this editor. I don't need Notepad anymore. I just got an error there. Doesn't mean a lot. So we got a line break there. If we highlight the message, we see there's a space here still. That's the space we put here. Technically, we don't need that. Because if I send a message in Discord, I can go, yes, line break this. Or I go, space, line break this. And in either case, you see there's a line and there's another space here, but there's no space here. In this case, it doesn't matter. For some applications, it could matter. So \n, new line character. If you remove it, that's just kind of nicer, because then you don't have any extra thingies. And there we go. That's basically a command, right? If we just give it a restart really quickly, we basically have a ping command. We go and say, ping me please, and it says ping. And then we have more which says config files. This is what I've been using with the config.json. It says config require, which we've done over there. Storing additional data, meaning of life 42. Password array, please don't hack me. Okay. Yeah, basically it says that you just put all of your thingies into a config file and then don't look at the config file so people don't see that anymore. Adding more commands. This is where you would be putting more. So technically you can just put a lot of these. It does this a little weirdly with the prefix part, and we're just gonna ignore that much. But basically, we could say const, which is again a constant value. We go prefix equals yeet comma space. There we go. And now if we adopt what it does here, we use this code to replace the first part with that. There you go. That's basically putting the prefix in there, but that's just kind of weird looking. I just don't like inserting variables like this. So what you can also do is you say prefix plus this, and it'll like kind of space it out like that. And if you want to be really tingent, which I tend to do, is you put it in parentheses, and now it'll first evaluate this as prefix plus ping, which is our first command. And prefix we say is yeet space, comma space, so it'll do this. And if your text is exactly that, then it'll do things as you specify. So the next thing we want is another command. So in this case it says beep. And else if just means if it's this, if it's this case, then we go into this. But if it isn't that case, then we go in the else case, and we could say else message send, or rather we put this part, for example, into else. This we can do really easily. We restart the bot real quickly. And we see here how it put every message in here. Ping, what's up dude, poggers was all put into there, as well as all of the messages we typed previously. If we go into it now and say hello, it'll put hello there, it'll put yes there. But if we actually go ahead and use ping, this is not gonna work anymore. So it uses ping like this because we changed our prefix to this. So now our ping command is actually yeet comma space ping. And if we do this, then it replies really nicely, but it doesn't pick up on this anymore. It doesn't pick up on the message we sent that is yeet comma ping, because we're in this part where it executes it. It executes it, and the next message that is sent is this one. This one doesn't fit into this case, so we go back to else. But for this exact message, we actually disregard it for this part. And what we can also do is else if, which basically just adds another conditional to it. So in any case that isn't this one, we add another if, checking for a new command. This does it with message.content prefix beep. So we copy this part. And this wouldn't make a lot of sense as it is right now. If it's not ping, but is ping, then do this. Which doesn't make sense, because I've forgotten the closing bracket, that's what it was underlined for. Because there's no way for this to be executed. Since if the message is exactly this, then it'll execute the first part. And there's no way where the message isn't the first part, but the second part. So we're gonna have to find a new command that is unique, which will be beep. Why not? And we do another channel send. There we go. And we do beep beep like a sheep. I said beep beep like a sheep. And we restart the bot again. So we go back to close and open the bot. And if we go into Discord now, we can do what we did before, which is yeet ping. And it does what we tell it to do. And if we do yeet beep, we keep the space because that's what we defined as our prefix. We do yeet beep, and it says beep beep like a sheep. We've doubled the amount of things it can do. That's just how code works. And if we were to want to make a very intelligent conversation, then we change this to hold on. Let's just do a funny. We change our prefix to nothing. We change the first command to hello, and we'll do hi there, I'm doing well. Or we just change it to hi. Hi there. Hi there. And we do another one for how are you? And we change it to I'm doing well. There we go. And now we restart the bot. We don't have a prefix anymore, which is there's nothing added to this. And we have to be very, very, very careful about what we put here, because I put a capital letter here, a capital H. So if I put a lowercase h, then it's not going to do anything. But if I put a capital H, then we see hello, and it says hi there, and I say, how are you? And it says I'm doing well. And there we go, we've made intelligent conversation with something that isn't intelligent. Isn't that great? You have your love. It at least told you hello. I think that's as much love as people expect from streamers. So there you go, Lorex is already a functional Twitch streamer. Now I can romance. Hold on. We copy paste this, because that's what programmers do. And we say, I love you. And the answer for that will be, what is love? And we do a baby don't hurt me, and we do a don't hurt me no more. And there we go, that's our entire conversation. And now we can go with hello, hi there, how are you? I love you. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. I just talked to a bot. Isn't that great? So, moving on. Moving on. This is a little bit annoying, right? Well, there's gonna be ways to do better than this, but we'll see that soon. So, first, what this does, and again, I would have just like skipped somewhere else. I expect the full 12-hour dating sim out of this bot. Well, if you're gonna be the one writing a dating sim like this, then please do it. You can do it. I believe in you. Just write, if you write every sentence anyone could ever ask the bot out into this, and then come up with a solution, then it will seem incredibly natural. Because if I wouldn't know what it says there, and I went, I love you, and it goes, what is love? Then this is like an AI thingy. Like if I just sent you this screenshot as it is. Hold on, I'll do a screenshot. If I just do this screenshot on its own, then it's like it's an AI, isn't it? Some AIs might respond like that. So if you come up with every reply ever, then you already have a full dating sim. I wish you good luck in coming up with that many things. That's why programmers haven't done it yet. So we go back and it does another thing. Or do I know you? It's not like I like you. So it wants you to be putting the server's name is. Alright, we're just gonna be copy pasting this example text here. And notice how it uses yet another thing, which is backticks. If I just go to somewhere else really quickly, we can use backticks. Hold on. If you just, I don't know how American keyboards are going to cope with this, but backticks are one way to do quotes. You can do single quotes, which are like this. You can do double quotes, which are like this. And all of them accomplish the exact same thing, which is putting quotes around text. So like signifying this is text. The only difference is that when you use backticks, you can use this kind of prefix thingy. After reaching enough experience with the bot, blushes. Wow, what are you saying out of nowhere, baka? Do not clip this. I wasn't even voice acting it. And so to bring this more in line with what we put up here, I'm gonna be putting the server part into brackets and remove this part and copy this much. It's gonna look a little weird because of the way I'm doing it, but basically once I add all the spaces I did up there, there we go. This is exactly the same as up there now, except for its server now. And we restart the bot again. And now our prefix is still nothing. So I can still go hello, and it says hello. I can say server now, and server is gonna say you the server's name is the machine and me. Because that's where I date with this bot. Thanks for the clip. At least put it in the Discord. And yes, it says message, and we see another property of message is guild, which is the server it was sent in. We see channel, which is the specific channel it was sent in, but also guild, which is the server it was sent in. And name is the name of the server. You could, for example, also find all the members of the guild, which is people that have joined the server, and then find one specific person and put out their name, technically. But, you know, that's just kind of how you wrangle all these data structures. It's a little complex, but, yeah. This thing has a category, which is this thing, which has a category, which is this thing. Even though guild, you would say like the server is kind of above what the single message is, or you would say the channel holds messages, but I can still find out which channel something is in by the message itself. Like the message says, hello, I was sent in this channel. Then you can go into the channel, and the channel will let you send a message to it, which is channel send. Just something to wrap your head around in these data structure type thingies. But there's documentation for that. We can just look at it right now. You click up there for Discord JS documentation. Hold on, let me restart my background. What? That's definitely not what I want you to be. Stop being what you are. Not you, I love you, but the thingy is wrong. There we go. Sometimes it just escapes the loop and is supposed to play in. I don't understand. So we see documentation here. We're bringing this up to full screen. And what you can just go here is we search for message. And we see message has a class, which is what it defines it. And we see it's a Discord message. Client, data, channel, whatever. We see properties, which is Discord channel, which we have used in this case for message.channel. We see back in here the message has a channel. And we also see the message has content when I find the thingy. There, message content. Content, the content of the message. Or we go back up to message.channel. The channel the message was sent in. And we click onto text channel. And then we see text channel has a thingy that's a method that is called send. And there we go, send content. And that's what we did. We did message, then we found the channel, and then we used this send thingy. And user info. Now that's a new one. We copy paste this again, because I'm lazy. And basically it still uses our prefix, which is tied to the command user info. So if I copy our structure again, then it'll look like this. Hold on. Like this, and we fix that, and we add another parentheses. And we change the command to user info. There you go, user info. After reaching max amount of XP with the bot, hehe, I love you too, darling. No, please don't. I'm so bad at these. And we see it responds with your username. I need better voice acting. Exactly. I'm not here for voice acting. If you wanted voice acting, you're gonna need to keep searching. So we see again the kind of thingy that message also has a property that's called author. And message author is the person sending the message. In this case, it'll go to Discord and say, hey, this guy, he's some rando streaming on Twitch right now. Let's watch him. And it'll say username, which is exactly, hold on, I closed my Discord. This username, this is what it will be sending. And then it'll say your ID, which is, again, copy this ID, this here that we used earlier to make a ping. I don't think I used my ID, but it doesn't really matter. So if we do this again, then it converts it into a ping to me. So we can just use message.author.id to get my ID. Which, you see again, the author itself has the username and the ID of that person to it. And we save this again. We close the bot and we go into here. And we get a hello there, because it's live, as always. And we again don't have a prefix, and the command we just added is user info. So again, we can still type server, and we can type I love you. We can type how are you? But we can also type user info, which means it'll give me my username, which is Stefan, and my ID, which is the ID I sent earlier, that one. If you compare those two, that's my user ID. And username is just my username. That's what that is. It has a line break there, again, as we put like in the first example that I already deleted. It has the \n for new line, which is a new line character. Makes a new line. Isn't that surprising? The problem with if, else if, takes longer to find a piece of code, spaghetti code. It has, like, the Discord people are just very funny. They just put, like, haha, spaghetti code. Here's the Wikipedia to spaghetti code. And they also say in the intro, very cool sources for you. Oh, hey, it's Google. And there we go. We're done. We have these commands. General bad practice. Yeah, it just says that putting commands like this, if you look at this already, and I was to tell you there's a typo in don't hurt me, you're gonna have a bit of trouble finding it. You could still find it, because you would go like read through it and say, oh, ha ha ho, don't hurt me, there needs to be an apostrophe there. Ha ha, now we fixed it, right? Well, yes, but if you had to do this with something that has 100 commands, if you look at one of the bigger bots, they have like several hundred commands. You're gonna have a lot of lines like this where it just ends up being wop, up, 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 which is like, find something in this, and you're not gonna find anything. So yeah, it gets bad. There's ways around that. Specifically, the framework that I'll be using later on addresses that very elegantly. But we go on further to commands with user input. So there's one thing that we can also do, which is check if it starts with prefix. That's one thing we can do to check the whole thingy about, hey, does this have a prefix? 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 And basically, we put this first. What this does, the single line that it tells us at the beginning, is it gets a message. If the message doesn't start with the prefix, or if the author of the message is a bot. There's literally, if you don't know what this means, you again can go into the documentation and you just search for the thingy that has something, author, and you see message has author. Message has author, which is a user. And the user itself has property bot. This is what we're using. It's Boolean. It'll also tell you what a Boolean is. It'll refer you to a different site, but it'll tell you what a Boolean is. So like, no matter what you don't know, it'll tell you. And the Boolean is just a true or false thing. So it'll tell you, is the user a bot? Yes or no. The bot flag being, of course, if you go into here, it says bot by the side of it. That's what that means. If there is the bot thingy to it, then it says yes. And it's if this is yes, so if it is a bot, then return, which means stop doing anything. So in case it's either of these, everything below it just gets thrown out. Just doesn't do it, because bots don't reply to bots. After unlocking Yandere hidden route. Oh, I love you too, darling. But who was that person you were talking with earlier? I thought you loved only me. Only look at me. Okay, only me. Okay. So we're gonna be making the new thingy with the new syntax that we're gonna be using like this. And what this does is... This is very complex, but we are just going to be using it. So we copy paste this part at the start. So in more layman-y terms, what this does is it has content. The message itself is just everything we typed. If we scroll back up into the thingy, we see like this works. It's just a line of things I said. And it will go and cut off however long the prefix is. We've already made sure there is a prefix in it, which in this case is nothing, but we can just replace it with an exclamation point. So now it'll go the length of the exclamation point, which is 1. So it'll cut off the first thingy, and then we'll only have the command, which is the word right after, the very first word, and then a space, and then everything we want to put into it. And the putting into it part we're just gonna ignore for now, but that's what this does. The arguments part is everything that's done by space, that's separated by spaces. We cut off the prefix and then everything that's separated by spaces. And the command is just the very first part of that, because you put exclamation point, hello, and how are you? And in this case, we just cut off the exclamation point and then take the hello, and hello is gonna be our command. And it just uses that. It also puts a 2 lowercase, just in case, just in case you start hello with a uppercase letter. If we go back up, here hello with a lowercase letter didn't work, but with an uppercase one it did work. Now it won't really matter, because, well, if it's an uppercase one, then it makes it lowercase and it checks if it's lowercase, essentially. So now we have a little bit neater structure. If we do this, then we can boop 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 boop, go command equals ping. Then we replaced the prefix. Well, we're just gonna go with hello. So now we go prefix plus hello. And this is gonna be a little bit awkward because it's gonna do both of these things. But we're just gonna put an I am working down here. And if we put exclamation point hello, then it'll remove the exclamation point. The first thing it sees is hello, and it checks if the first thing it sees was indeed hello, and it'll send hello, I'm working. But because we've also had the previous one which puts the exclamation point in front of the hello, but it doesn't check for lowercase, so we can still separate the two for exemplary service duty. We run it again, and now we know if we put an exclamation point and an uppercase hello, then it'll do hi there, which we've specified up here, hi there, and it'll do I am working, which is the lower part of this. This is just the I am working text. These are 2 separate messages, but they're checking for the same thing, which is something that's exclamation point, capital letter H, hello. But if we use a lowercase letter, then we only get the I am working part, because this actually checks for both higher and lowercase because of the shift. And it'll do this, but the other one just won't anymore because of the hello part. And now we can kill all the smarts the thing had. And it can't do any of those things anymore. Rest in peace, bot. But we can just go like this and say else if command equals IG, then we go and copy paste your message like such and put it in here. And there we go. And now we stop this and restart the bot, and we go and say hello, which still works, and we go and put IG, and that still puts that. There you go, you're added to the commands now. Isn't that what you always wanted? Going back to the thing, else if command equals args info, then we copy this really quickly so I can show what it does. Else if command equals args dash info, it'll go if not args length, which is the exclamation point negates it. This just checks if it's greater, if it exists. So basically, if there isn't arguments, then here the arguments thingy is just every word in the thingy. So if we like just go like this, if our message, or you know what, we start in Discord. If our message is hello, then it will cut off the exclamation point. And then it will put the hello as the first word. And if we have a how are you, then the args thingy will have hello in it. It will have how in it, are and you as 4 separate words. And then we take the command part, which we say is the first part. And it'll go, okay, I cut this off. The first word is hello. We move everything one over, and we say how is the first word, R is the second one, and U is the third one. But if we don't have any of these, then it cuts off the exclamation point. It says hello is the command. It shifts everything once over, and then everything we have left is nothing. If, again, I go to hello, how are you? It cuts off this, and then it takes the hello word, says this is my command. It cuts this off, and then we have 3 arguments left. In the case that we don't have arguments, it says this doesn't exist, you didn't provide any arguments. But if it puts a return also, which means it stops executing. What we could also do is put an else instead, like this, and say, in case there is in fact arguments, do this. And then we don't need this return part. But we're just gonna keep everything as it is. And we just stop executing the command if it doesn't have any arguments. But if we do, then it says the command name, which is what we used here, args info. And it says arguments is everything we put into here. So now we can actually test now what we just talked through. We run this, and we can still say hello. The bot is working. And we say args info. You didn't provide any arguments. But if I go args info, hello, how are you? It'll put hello, how, and are you as 4 separate words now. There we go. It says the command name was args info, which is this. And it goes arguments, this word, this word, this word, and the last word are all separate things in the list now. You see how it removed the spaces, which it says here by split, and it puts them out by commas, separated with commas. That's why there's commas in here. And hey, we already have arguments. Args info foo bar, args info not foo, first argument not foo. So what this does, if we copy it again and replace what we have in here, then again, if we don't provide any arguments, it yells at us. If the argument 0, so the first part, in this case, hello, the argument hello, in this case will be argument 0. This is 1, 2, and 3. That's just kind of how computers work. They start at 0, unless you're coding in Lua, which starts at 1. But, you know, most languages that we program in will start at 0 because that's how computers work. And it says, if the first argument is foo, then reply with bar and stop doing anything. But if the first argument isn't foo, then it says, hello, your first argument is whatever your first argument is. And we kill the bot and restart it again. And we go in here and have the bot there. The command is still called args info. So we go ahead and run args info. But we didn't provide any arguments, so that fails. And we go args. I can't type info. Hello, how are you? And that's gonna tell us the first argument was indeed hello, which we also got from this one. But it ignores all the other ones because we're only outputting the first one. And we go and say args info for foo. That's what it wants us to put, and it says bar. Foo bar is also just a programmer joke for something that's a placeholder. So it does the foo bar thing for putting an answer. It again, since we're only checking for the first argument, we can actually put args info foo, how are you? And it'll still check the first argument is foo and go, and the other ones it just ignores. Well, we don't really do anything. We could say we remove this return and we say message.channel.send argument number 2, which is argument index 1, and then we return. So I now also put the return into the last thing. It's a separate thing now, and if we start the bot again now, and we go into args info, I really should have changed that command. Foo, I am cool, then it says foo and I, which is the second thingy as the second message it sends. And we could do that for all of it. We could just like keep going third and whatever, but now the problem that we're gonna run into is args info foo bar, and the bot crashed because we are trying to access argument number 1 and we don't have an argument number 1. And I'm gonna be restarting the playlist again. There we go. So it says, hello, something broke. Cannot create an empty message. So it tries to use argument 1, which is nothing. So it gets nothing, and we cannot send messages to Discord which are nothing. So it says, hello, Discord API error. And because something broke, it just stops working. So we exit this again, and we fix our mistake, which is deleting this line. because we know it can break, we just don't deal with it. There would be technical ways of dealing with things like this, but for now we just remove it. Hey Baum, how goes the bot? Okay, so we restart the bot. Currently it looks like this. And what it can do now is it actually checks for a command thing rather than what we had before with a long text. And we can use arguments to say args info foo, and it'll go bar. If I go exclamation point hello, then it says I'm working. If I go args info, which is the command from earlier, and say test, then it says first argument is test. If I go args info test is working, then it still says test because we are only outputting the first argument. And that's how far we got now. Also, wait, another case in this part is if we don't put any arguments, then it just says you didn't provide any arguments. Do something. And moving on downwards. Caveats. Currently you're using split space to split the command arguments. However, there's a slight issue as it will split the string by each and every space. What happens if someone accidentally or purposely adds additional spaces? Here's what. Here are my arguments. If you've never done something like this, then whoop. So basically, if we check every single space, then it'll replace every single space as a word. And if there's nothing in there, then it'll have empty words. And as we ran into the problem earlier, if it tries to send an empty word, which in our case was the second argument of something that we only send as a single word, as a single argument, then it'll say there's an empty message and it breaks. And if we do this for something like this, and it'll go, is it running? Yes. So we go args info hi. Wait, it's not outputting these anymore, but hey, I can still go. Hold on, I can break it by going space hi. And then first argument is gonna be a space. Or rather, it will remove all the spaces and my first argument is empty. So if we check by this, then there's nothing there other than the end of the message. And if I were to not send the first argument thing, then it would break. So we go like this and we move all of this. And we only send the first argument. And we restart the bot. Then if I send the same thing, args info and a lot of spaces and say hi, and then it breaks because it tries to send an empty message again. It has not said hello world, Joseph. I will not be making my bot say hello world. That's kind of strange. Why would you make it do that? It did say hello there. It actually does say hello there Kenobian every time we started. I don't even know if that's the correct reference. I don't know Star Wars. That's a sin against coding. Well, it is, but also we still know it's working. So you can replace your hello world of flavor text you want. Because it's just cool. We are breaking everything. So what this does is rather than checking for exactly one space, it's hello there and then General Kenobi. Well, and it's saying hello there Kenobi. Good enough. So we replace our string split with // space. This is still the space we're checking for, like this. This is the same space. But we also say space and repeating. So now we can actually do this, where we have something that breaks. Normally, this is the exact same code that broke before, but we're using a regular expression, which says space, and as many spaces as come after it, we will just keep as they are. So we go ahead and restart the bot, and say the same thing that broke everything before. We go args info, a lot of spaces, and say hello. And now it'll say hello is the first argument. Well, it'll just say hello because we only give it the first argument. But if we go back and say first arg and restart the bot again, then we can say what we did before, and it'll say first argument hello. Isn't that great? We've fixed our code so that it doesn't break anymore. And if you didn't check this, then somebody might have used 2 spaces because they can't type, or because they're boomers and type when double spaced after a point, after a period, and you know, that's bad. But broken code is fun. Yeah, well, broken code is fun, but also it breaks. And now we just copy paste another thing. We said, which says grab the first mentioned user from the message. This will return a user object just like message.author. So we have message.author here. Message.author, if we just put it into a message that we send, then it pings them. But we have here the property that it's a bot. We earlier had the property of its name, and now we are just going with the straight user object, which is mentions users and the first one. So we basically message is the message we send. Message mentions is how many everyone that's mentioned, or well, the entire mention itself, which again is another object, and part of that object is the users, which is a list of all users that are mentioned. So that's just kind of how this works. It's everyone that is mentioned in that message, which is pinged by an ad. Then it goes first, and the first one is just the first argument, like down here. Message is you want it to kick tagged user.username, which is this. So we restart the bot again, and we go back to Discord, and I forgot the command, which we can look at in here. I didn't even save. We need to do this again. We go like this. The command is kick. Our prefix is still an exclamation point, and I say kick, and I didn't provide anything, so it doesn't do anything. And I say kick Steve, it doesn't do anything because it doesn't mention anyone. If we look at here, it only sends the first message, the first user. And oh, never mind, this is my bad. I've messed up at copy pasting. The command actually goes here. We were indeed supposed to see something. I was just like, wait, that's not how code runs. So this is where the code actually gets executed, because the way it was before it was in here, which means the command has to be args info, but the command also has to be kick, which doesn't make sense because when the command is args info, it cannot be anything else. I just copy pasted into the wrong place. So we restart the bot again, and now if we say kick, then it still brings up nothing. We say kick Steve, and it brings up nothing because there's nobody mentioned. That's why I didn't find anything wrong with this. But yeah. This time the code got executed, but it threw an error, which is tagged username. which there isn't a user. So basically, if I just type kick, then it says it couldn't find username of nobody. But if I restart the bot with kick me, then it says you wanted to kick Debom. And if I do it again and I say kick Lorax, you wanted to kick Lorax. If I go kick Debom and kick Lorax, then it'll go with the first one. And that's just kind of what that does now. It just means we can mention people to target them. Little extra thingy there just for you, you know, have a little fun with kicking people. And this does mentions user is a collection. We are trying to call first on an empty collection. It will return undefined. That's the exact error we had before. So the way we can do that is if the size is more than nothing. So we put this into where our code is. So it creates a tagged user thingy. But to make that tagged user thingy, we first check if there is users mentioned. So we have a list of users being mentioned. And if the size of that is greater than nothing, then keep going. But if it is, then return, which means stop doing things, and reply with you need to tag a user. So we save this. We restart Mr. Bot. And we can go kick. You need to tag a user in order to kick them. And we say kick Steve. And it says you need to tag a user. If I go kick at Steve, that's not gonna work because there's no user in there. But if I say kick at Lorax, then it says again you kicked Lorax. There you go, that works. And we go back to this tutorial and we keep following it. Working with multiple mentions. So what this does is, let's say you have an avatar command where it'll display the avatar of all the mentioned users, or your avatar if no users were mentioned. So if no users were mentioned, we're in this part that we also used earlier. We copy this and we go back into here. We're just gonna paste it down here. So we say else if command is avatars, and we get rid of this. And we say if there isn't anyone mentioned in our avatars command, then your avatar is message.author.display avatar URL. Basically puts your image there. You don't need to really know this. You can just look that up, honestly. These are things you Google. Like, how do I display someone's avatar? This is something I would Google. And especially with the display parameters that Discord needs to send it as a message. So we have this, we restart the bot. And now we say avatars. How do I Google? Yes. And you see how it puts avatar as a URL? Well, if we click on it, then it brings up my avatar. Like, we copy this link, we go, and that's my Discord avatar. Congratulations. And it just puts that there. It displays the URL of the avatar. But we want to do this for everyone that is tagged. So we go through avatar list is everyone who is mentioned. So in case there is people mentioned, we go through avatar list. Boom, Junge. Hello, Mr. Torch. Welcome to chat. How are you doing? We go to avatar list. Hey, Torch, thank you for following. Welcome to the forest. I hope you don't get lost. We are currently making a Discord bot, or talking through how the tutorial explains making a Discord bot. I'm good, lol, what's cooking? Yeah, we're making a Discord bot. We currently have the ability to display our own avatar in a URL. I closed the tab, so I needed to do it again. So there we go. It displays our own URL. I can do a fake kick command that also tells me I didn't tag anyone if I fail. So there we go. That's how much progress we already did. He told me to Google things, but he won't tell me. Okay, Joseph, if you go on the Discord, if you go on discord.js.guide, if you're trying to make exactly this bot, the first thing it tells you is look at these resources. And one of them just happens to be Google. And if you click on it, then it says how to Google. And you can just ask how to use a Google search. We're gonna watch the how to look at Google search. There's audio to this.
You'll see a very simple web page appear. Click in the text box under the Google.
I didn't expect this.
Type in what you're looking to find.
This is a 5-minute video explaining how to Google.
Google will make suggestions of what your search is going to be for, based on things other people have searched for.
Tech boomers.
Click on one of the suggestions or hit the enter key on your keyboard to begin your search.
Okay. Oh, the channel is called Tech Boomers. I thought Google was outing people. Well, anyway. There you go. What you can also do, actually, is if you're funny like me, then you have VS Code and you have the package downloaded that is integrated Stack Overflow. And we go back to the editor. I can basically just go take this error, like whatever. Type error can't read property username of undefined. We're just gonna copy this. I open the integrated Stack Overflow that I just downloaded, and we search for this, and we see this exact error. And we go down, and we see cannot read property username of undefined. We click view answer, and we just take this code and go ahead and copy paste it into our project. In this case it doesn't make sense because this is something that wouldn't work, but we could just like put it in here, save and run the thing. And that's how people program, you know, you just go on this is nice code. Yes, this is my code now. There you go. Stack Overflow integration into coding. There you go, VS Code is cool. Thank you for teaching me how to Google. No problem, this is a teaching stream. Everyone is meant to learn here. No matter where your starting point is. Just feel free to ask. Ask me anything. Even though I'm not the best user. The best teacher? The best programmer? Who knows? Not the best at anything. I just like helping. So, we're here. We did this, which is, it says the avatar of myself, but we want to put avatar of everyone else. So we make an avatar list, and then we send the avatar list. So we go down here. We make an avatar list, which goes through users mentioned, and it makes a map out of them where it replaces every user thingy. Well, it moves the user thingy into a map, into this. This is a pretty complex function. What are you going to use this bot for? Is it like your own server? Well, I have my streaming server here, and if you look at tweeting, then there is no Twitter bot. And Twitter bots are pretty annoying in that, for example, I have this one in here. But the thing is, Twitter restricts how many channels you can follow. per API token that you're given, which is pretty technical, saying that basically a single bot can't follow everyone on Twitter to send their messages. So you need to make one yourself to follow things on Twitter. Now, what things like this bot allow you to do is download the library and use it with your own Discord token, which we talked through earlier. This is a API token like here that you can copy in to sign into your own Discord bot. And you do the same thing for Twitter. You take your own Twitter token and then you make your own bot that just happens to run this code and you can just run it. Or you're like me and want to make your own bot. So that's eventually what I was set out to do. But I'll definitely not code something that complex on a Nerdtorial stream that is meant to be introductory to people. So what we're currently doing is on a test server, just me and this bot, that I'll be going through the Discord.js guide, just putting up a bunch of commands that it lets you go through, just so people kind of get a feel of how bots work. And, you know, just get people interested in making bots. It's fun, it's pretty easy. And you just kind of go through what it tells you, and you just kind of try to understand each of the steps. And now we make an avatar list, in this case, to have the example command work, which is you go avatars and everyone you ping. Yeah, I watched a few. That's the spirit. Yes, coding is cool. And people shouldn't get discouraged by it looking like a bunch of code. Like, if you looked at this from the start, then it'll be like a bunch of code and you don't know what it does. But getting discouraged from coding is like stopping before you start. So it's kind of iffy. Like, people just see a lot of code and see that there's too much for them, or they see something in code that they don't understand, even if they try to, which is like something like this, which looks just like complex. Even I wouldn't be able to tell you what exactly the purpose of this is, other than putting brackets around this, which is the URL for the... This just makes it a URL that you can click of your avatar, and it says this is this person's avatar. Like, if you just look at it, it's complex. And if you look at how it does like a weird map, then it's kind of hard to read intentionally. Like, if you initially, I mean. But generally, if you just get a feel of how things work, then you get used to how these complex things work, and you get a more better understanding. How did I learn to code is a very long story, because I basically at some point just decided I want to code. I think the first thing I did was I coded the game Tic-Tac-Toe in the Windows command line. I think that's one of the first things I did when I was like 7 or 8 years old. I just wrote a .bat, so like a batch file for letting people... Well, it drew like a little bar, like 3x3 chamber that tic-tac-toe. You all know how tic-tac-toe works, and it let people tell you where they wanted to put their thingy. So it'll go like player A, say where you want to put the thing, and you just go like A2 for the first column and second row, and that's how you would like go off, and it'll eventually tell you how to win. I think that's one of my first code projects, yeah. And then I did a lot of other things, like Lua is also a great language in my view. It's really not a good programming language to start with. JavaScript for Discord bots is something I can encourage everyone to do. I think I did like what do you mean? In Lua, I did a lot of coding for, well, Gary's mod and Multi-Theft Auto San Andreas, which, if you watched my 12-hour stream yesterday, I talked about how I played Multi-Theft Auto for a while. You can watch the VOD on Twitch still. You can't watch the VOD on YouTube still because I'm having export issues. I'll probably have to put in some manual labor into putting the VOD up on YouTube. But yeah, Multi-Theft Auto is a multiplayer mod for San Andreas, which also uses Lua as a programming language. And Gary's mod does as well, for doing like little add-ons and stuff, and you can just kind of code things in there. So that's fun. But yeah, for JavaScript, I literally only made bots for Discord. Not to stop here too far. Meanwhile, my teacher forced me to take coding classes because I was her favorite student somehow, lol. Well, your favorite student in what subject? If it was like computer science or something, then coding is helpful to understand most concepts. Yeah, we can test this code, by the way. Now we copy pasted it from the tutorial. It just means every user that's mentioned, it'll grab the avatar URL off and put it into this list, and then it will throw out this list. So we go into Discord. Hold on, we need to restart the bot first. And we go ahead and say avatars. If we mention no one, then it gives me my avatar. But if we go avatars, me and Lorax, then it'll give you both of our avatars, which if we copy this one, it'll be his avatar. And if we just go avatars at Lorax, then it'll only give his, because we only give my avatar if I don't put any of them. It's doing web stuff like HTML, CSS, and a tad bit of JavaScript. And then after that year she went, you're going into my AP ComSci class. I mean, if she saw good potential, which I believe in you doing well, then for sure ComSci is fun if you keep it pedestrian. Honestly, if you go to a uni for ComSci, then it'll be pretty rough. It'll be a rough uni year. Well, first 2 years probably, just a lot of math. But computer science, as in learning about how computers work and learning to program, is really fun. At least to me, the IT nerd. So I don't think anyone's done any harm by learning about computers. And if you're already interested in basic programming, which, I mean, HTML, CSS really isn't programming in the real sense, I would say. It's more like doing style sheets, as the name says. I mean, yeah, I did ComSci and wasn't bad at it. Learned Java and C++. There you go, C++ is a language I still haven't gotten into, which would be very fun probably. I still want to do something in C++ just to like have fun with it and learn how it works, because for me, I'm at that point where C++ just looks a little intimidating to me. Good on you, bro. I'd love to learn some code someday, but it's too much effort for me. I can't really be asked. Anyway, good luck with your stream. I'ma hop off for some Left 4 Dead 2. Oh, alright. Have fun, even though I read that a little late. Well, enjoy playing Left 4 Dead 2, which is great fun. I should actually be playing more of that eventually. It's interesting to say the least. C++, yeah, C++ is definitely interesting because it has you do many things. Don't know where my voice went there. Number ranges. So this will now start with a prune command. Excuse me. So if you don't know what a prune command is, it's deleting something. And in most cases it's deleting a lot of messages at once. So we copy this for now. and we again go up to where our commands are, and we add the command prune. What this does is it processes the amount that we pass through the arguments. So we could go prune anything, and it will try to make a number out of it, a whole integer number. And if that fails, which we can see here is NaN, if it is not a number, this is just a basic function, is not a number, checks if the number provided is actually a number. If it's not a number, then reply with that doesn't seem to be a valid number. Also, little edge case, it does a backsplash for the single quote here, because if you see in the highlight here and here, the text is in single quotes already. So if we don't have that, then it ends the text as soon as the next single quote starts. And then all of this, it tries to execute as code and says, hey, none of this works. This is why that's underlined. But if we go and put a backslash, then we escape this single quote, which means it's not, it's ignoring this one. And it says this doesn't seem to be a valid number as an entire string in these marks like such. And if we just save this, then we don't have the actual prune function, but we can restart our bot again and say, hey, prune, and we didn't put anything, and anything is not a real number. And we go prune hello, prune hello, and hello is also not a real number. And we go prune 69, and that happens to be a real number. We're just not doing anything with it. So we go back here and look at the actual thing. And we most likely want to use the bulk delete message for deleting an amount of messages. That's what it says up there. It does have limits. It needs a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 100 messages at a time. So in the check that we stop. So like if you go here, if it is not a number, then it stops executing while saying that's not a valid number. We can also go if the number is less than 2 or more than 100, which again, our boundary is it has to be more than 2, but also less than 100. So if both of those are true, then we're between 2 and 100. Flip that, sorry. If we're less than 2 or more than 100, means we either have just 1, which is less than 2, or we have more than 100, which also isn't allowed for the bulk delete. So we go return with the reply of you need to input a number between 2 and 100. So we go ahead and save this, and we say start the bot, and we say prune yes, it's not a number. We go prune 420, and that's too big of a number, and we go prune 1, which we need to input a number between 2 and 100. And we go prune 69, and that works again. We just need to have it actually work for doing what we want to do, because right now it doesn't do anything. So we go down here, delete the message in this simple line of code, which is bulk delete amount. So what we did up here is making sure it actually works, which is making the text that we put into it a number. In case making it a number fails, we stop. And in case the number isn't a number that this function wants, then we also stop. If we didn't stop at any point before, everything is fine and we can execute this function. So we can restart our bot again. And we can go back into Discord. And we go prune. Yes, doesn't work. But as soon as we go prune 2, it deletes the message it sent itself. No, wait, it deletes 2 messages. It doesn't send a message when we delete 2. So we will delete this message and the one above it. There we go. And if we do it again, then it deletes the message I'm sending here and the message above it. There we go. And we can go prune 5 and it will delete this message and the 4 above it. And that's how we can now have a command that's more useful, you know? Deleting a lot of messages, that's what actual bots are for. So now we have a bot function that actual mod bots use. Isn't that cool? There's a few caveats, which is trying to be deleting messages older than 2 weeks. The second parameter will filter out messages older than 2 weeks if you give it a truthy value. So it will delete the first 25 messages and the other older messages in case there was 50 in this example. It would throw an error. And that's just like an extra thing that Discord has built into the API that you wouldn't know unless you ran into that error. Like, I don't have a way of replicating a message that's 2 weeks old. At this point, I can't test it. So I'm just gonna have to run into that error eventually and fix it. That's completely normal. Or, you know, in this case, the API tells me, but that's luxury you don't usually have. Also, I've run out of water, so if you all could excuse me for 1 minute, I'll be getting more water to keep this tree hydrated. We'll go on BRB. Hello! I just realized how harsh the transition between the waiting BGM and my active BGM is if there's no time break in between. But hello, I'm back. He seems he has to lube his throat up, understandable. Yes, exactly. I ran out of water, like, just after I started the stream, and I basically have been talking dry for the entire stream. And that's, like, not cool when you've been talking for 2 hours. So here's me lubricating myself. Yes. It really does get surprising how much you can dry up your throat if you keep talking without a single sip of water. But then you literally drink a single gulp and you're good. So what this does is it catches an error. Now, I just jumped way back without giving a rundown. Is it refreshing? It's very refreshing water. I always keep my water in the fridge. I don't know about you all, but I like cold water. It's just that when I stream, I put all the water I need beside me and it gets warm over time. Like in yesterday's 12-hour stream, of course by the end of it none of my water was still cold because my room is not quite fridge temperature. Excuse me. So we have the problem that bulk deleting can run into problems when the message is older than 2 weeks. So this just says, hey, copy paste this solution. Because, you know, it's just kind of an odd thing to run into. So we pass an extra argument into the bulk delete function. And then we chain a catch. Which basically means you execute this. And should there be any errors, we catch the error. We call it err. And we put out a console error called err. And say there was an error trying to prune messages in this channel, which I cannot replicate. But we will have to take the opportunity to we will have to take up Discord on trusting on the trust there. And yeah, that's the resulting code. Yeah. Prune number will also. Yeah, the other caveat is that the prune message you send will also be counted towards the amount deleted. This will mean that if you send prune 2, it'll delete the message itself and only one other. That's exactly what we've seen earlier. The way they do this here is, well, address it in a way that might be more favorable, is increment the number of messages you're trying to delete. So if you want to delete 2 messages, then it makes 3 out of it secretly to subtract the extra message you're sending. So it will actually delete the most recent 2 messages and not just 1. But that's like a preference thing if you know how your code works. But it's a user experience thing too if you don't know how the code works. And that's something you have to balance. Like a coder will know, okay, I'm deleting 2 messages. The message I'm sending is 1. And someone with a coding background might start counting that sent message in with it. And essentially end up counting 1 more than he requires. In case you did this to address it for normal users. Because a normal user sees 2 messages and he wants to delete 2 messages. And then he does your command, and he only gets a 1 message deleted. And that's kind of sad, isn't it? And that's just kind of something you have to balance always. How people will interact with the software you're producing. It's a big thing of programming. I'm not a good programmer. I'm not a professional programmer. I'm bad at giving input on this other than it's a consideration. Try to think about it. So now, command handling. This is something that starts to get complicated now, because currently we have all of our commands like this. Anytime there is a message sent, so if you go like this, there is 70 lines in here. That's everything we do to handle when a message starts being sent. Now what we can do to clean this up more is, yes, we need to check if it's a bot or not that we're replying to. And yeah, we'll need to find out if it's a command that the first, like what the command of that message is and what the arguments are. But all of this, where we go, if it's this, or if it's this, or if it's this, this is something we can completely move elsewhere. And at this point, it gets complex enough to where... Alright, I've gotta go to the store, so I'll catch you later, Boom. Good luck with the stream. Thanks for stopping by, Joseph. Good luck with shopping. And I'll see you sometime. And to keep following the tutorial, we need a commands folder, which is like in the folder structure that we had here. We would be making a new folder called commands and put in the command that we want. But we have a module export here, and then you would need to start reading all of the commands, which is a bit hard, honestly. Like, this is starting to get complex to make single files for everything. So at this point, I would actually move over to using something that is Commando Js, which the JS is just ported. It's this tab here. Hold on, there we go. Getting started with Commando, which is a more better version to like start doing a bot. Basically, it's not the very basic thing that we did so far, which is all of these basic things. These are fun, yeah? These are basic fun things. But what I want here is just a bot. And this has a lot more options. Like, it already has a config where you can put your token. It has a config where you can define who the owner is, prefix. This post thing I already added, apparently. The ID of the posts channel is this here, but that's secondary. So basically, this is like a pre-made template, so to say, where we can register commands to groups already and have a few more options to starting commands. Because basically it will always do commands already without us having to do much work. So what we will want to do to add a command in this, I'm just gonna close this, go into this one here to copy my token, which, don't worry, again, I will be resetting all of this after the stream. But now we have moved our token into this bot, which, as you can see, as soon as someone gets a hold of your token, you can get there very easily and just use someone else's bot, which is why you're treasuring your token, usually, unless you're always resetting it, I suppose. And we see we have our commands folder up here, and we have a test.js, which is a command. And in the command, we can put name of the command. And we're at this point going to put like this, put them next to each other again. Very funny, haha. Don't know why I said that. So name, we will call this, you know what, we're just gonna copy it because I like meowing. Class meow, and we call it meow. Aliases, which means just like you can already add other names for the command. In this case, we can go with nya. And group user is just the default group saying that everyone can do it. Member name meow, as we can read over here, group is the command group of the command. The other command group that it gets that comes with by default is admin. I can just use that. Member name is the name of the command within the group. This can be different from name. So we could technically say that we call it, I don't know, Mama Meow or whatever, and then we have a Papa Meow inside of it, the group. The group user will have the command meow or the member name meow, and the name of the command is just the command itself that we do. And description is the text displayed when someone uses the help command. So in this case, it specifically already provides a help command, and it already provides handling of a prefix and pinging it. So that's pretty cool. So you can always ping the bot with a help message, and it will already display you what your help is for all the commands. So we go meow says meow. And we go with what it says here, return message say. This is different to the message.channel.send we used earlier. It already says here, message say is used instead because commando is magic. It's literally, it says syntax is commando magic. It does a few extra handles just to make things more simple and nicer to work with. So literally it just goes and says meow. We actually don't need the async, that's just a new thing. We'll just ignore that. And we run saying meow, and you see how this is darkened out? That's because I need to actually put message into it that we can say the message, basically. Because I didn't, like if I put a message here like this, then I'll just have to put MSG like that, and then it'll work as well. We'll just be different from the code example. Yes. But now we can stop this, go up one, and I think the bot is in there. Yes, I go cd lorex dev. There we go, we clear. And we node index.js. And we run into an error. There you go. We have to now find out why commando client is not a constructor. We look back at this thingy. And getting started with commando. We look at new commando client, command prefix. And we start getting really confused as to why it doesn't work. That's also how things go, you know. So we now have to see what is different to the code example, which we require Discord.js commando. And commando client is not a constructor. Does it load this? Alias module. Well, what it does here is it puts it into brackets. So let's copy that. Because why not? And then we run it again and see if that was the difference. And yes, I made a little mistake. Oh yeah. Hold on, let's check that. Console.error. That's just something I messed up before stream. I don't know why I did that. I tried to do an extra thing in prep, I suppose. That didn't end up working. So now we see I'm ready, which is the ready message that we put here. And if we check on Discord, it says playing live, which is also a funny thing. We can go and look into it where it says set activity for going live. Well, not actually going live, it just says user set activity, and we just see it's playing this. And now we can go back to our command, which is meow. And if we look into the config, our prefix is ah. So we go into here, and now we can just say ah, meow. And it says meow. Isn't that cool? And we can also ping it and say meow. And it says meow because that just fits, you know. And that's basically how you would be doing Commando Js, which now, if we go through these files, we have a commands folder and a nicer structure of where we can use permissions and everything. And this is actually as far as I wanted to go for this stream, because Commando JS has a lot more options that are more geared towards just digging through it on your own, honestly. There's a lot of cool things you can do, but like that will be already making a bigger project. Like you would have to have some idea of what you're doing rather than just idling around really funnily. What we can be doing, for example, is go into here and we can just create a new file. So we go in here and say new file, and we call it ig.js. And we're just gonna sync the old command that we had in this old folder. And yes, now this is the old project. And we find our ig command over here. And you see, if you don't have a code editor, then things look really stupid. So we just copy paste this into here, which isn't going to work. But if we go back to here and we copy paste this syntax that we needed for this, then we can just start working things over. So we go ig, we don't give it an alias, we give it user thingy, we say it's called ig, and we give it the description. I don't know what went wrong with him. And the description, the detail, yeah, sorry, the details is a long sentence, and the description is he's weird. There you go. And the reply will be, we put this in here, and this is what we start saying. And as you can see, I replaced the single quotes with this now, and that's all we need to do to make this a real command. And that's how quick these go. Obviously, copy pasting it went quicker in the real example, where I actually just added more and more to the single code file. But now I can actually go, and this is the test command, this is the ig command, and I can go back to index, and this is where I handle general stuff, you know? So things get like less complicated to look through if you haven't touched a bot in months or years. And trust me, you will discard bots for months or years. That's how all of my bots go. And then years after, I just cannot be bothered to look at them anymore because of how little I cared for them. So now we can go IG. There you go. And it says the quote he put in chat earlier. And that's how you add another command. And we can use our prefix, which is IG. And there you go. We added a command. And yeah, that'll be it. That's how far I wanted to go with this. And I hope everyone was able to learn something from it. That's about as much as I expected. Thank you all for being here. And I don't really care about raiding anyone, I don't think. I'll just check really quickly, but yeah, we're just gonna end it here. Thanks for streaming. Thanks for hanging out. Really nice to have people around. But yeah, I don't know when I'll be streaming the next time, honestly. I'm gonna have to work out a schedule from now on, which I'm gonna need to have some good ideas for. I'll figure out something. If you want to stay posted, my socials are all on my website. You can check out everything linked on there, mainly my Twitter. Sometimes I didn't even post live notifications for the last 2 streams, so maybe not. And Discord mainly, which you can also join directly. And I'll post live notifications there, and I'll also talk about all the struggles I went through in case I'm not live or whatever. And yeah, thanks everyone for being here. We're going to the other screen.